play. We obviously can't show you any goals from that first period because the score is 0-0. But our Air Canada play of the period is obviously a nice save. Air Canada's executive class service, Canada's finest business class. And it was all business in the Sudbury end at this point. The Wolves applying some pressure. Corriveau with the shot. David Gavardi with a great save. Louis DeBrusque with a great shot. Another great save. And Chris Taylor just misses, putting it away. 3 great chances, easily our Air Canada play of the period. No score after 1. We'll be back with second period action momentarily. And that goes over 3 to play in the second period. Still 1-0 for London. And yeah, I'd be a bit concerned if I'd gone 0 for 6 in the power play. 0 for 7 now.
The tide has really turned in this game. Watch the London Knights buzz all around here. Some great opportunities. Gavardi makes a great diving save. The Wolves are having all sorts of trouble clearing the puck. And that line of McKay and DeBrusque and Martel were all over.
Can't believe all the signs here tonight.
Fans love their Wolves. It's so good to see junior hockey thriving in Sudbury again. Back into the 1970s, they had some outstanding teams, but the 1980s were an absolute dry decade.
In the corner, peeling out nicely is Crombie. Tried to go after the rebound. DePietro can't even break out. Zanishin trying to get it back to the line. And do you sense a little bit of the bounce is out of the step of the Sudbury Wolves at this point? Icing.
Well, there's no question. I imagine, though, at Rosaire Paymont's Penalty Box Lounge in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, the fans are maybe going to start whooping up there. They got a few hundred Canadians down there, notable among them, the owner of the Sudbury Wolves, Ken Burgess, and his wife, Joan. And I know the folks down at Rosie Paymont's Lounge are having a great time tonight.
A lot warmer down there than it is up here.
Actually, I'd like to trade places. I think Ken Burgess should be up here doing the game, and perhaps we should be down in Florida enjoying the fun and sun.
Oh, you've got all the friends in the high places. When do we work that out? Off the draw, Trevor Dam to Holt. Shoots! Big stop by Gavardi. Chitteroni battling with Holt. Here comes DePietro. Drops it out. Young centers it. Bennett back at the line. Shoots it in wide. Young, number 16, sprinting after it, bumping Trevor Dam, but it's cleared out to center. Chitteroni after it. Noseworthy clearing it out for Trevor Dam. Long shot. Gavardi watches that one bounce in back of the net. Taylor moves up. Trying to sneak it in front. He's got Noseworthy there. Can't get it out to him. Here's Dam. In front. Corriveau. Great move. They score. Trevor Dam.
Paul, that play was made possible by the outstanding offensive skills of Rick Corriveau. The watch number 3 from the Wolves is getting a penalty here up against the boards, a roughing penalty. Watch Corriveau come in, though. Just way to jump up into that play is what made that happen. Dam gets things going here by feeding it back out to him. But watch for Corriveau come blazing in here. A great deke to put Gavardi way out of position, and Dam picks up the mishandled puck and fires it home.
Trevor Dam scoring at 16:57, 2-0 for the London Knights. And a great setup on the play by Rick Corriveau, who moved well in from his point position.
London goal scored by number 25, Trevor Dam. The assist, number 12, Chris Taylor.
Balsey moving it out at center.
At 16:57.
LeBlanc up there for the Knights along the boards. Puck chopped into the corner. Martel moving in. 2:35 to play in the second period. And boy, if you could have to point to one thing in this game at this point, it is clearly the lack a power play punch for the Sudbury Wolves. They are 0 for 7 with the man advantage and have in fact given up a shorthanded goal.
Been a combination of two factors, Paul. Number one, they've had some bad luck in not finishing very well around the net. Number two, John Tanner's been fantastic in the London net tonight. Standing up, standing really tall, and not allowing the Sudbury Wolves to cash in on the really good chances that they've had.
Trevor Dam with the goal. Coming off of an injury that kept him out for 3 weeks, a little bit of ligament damage, but he looked fine. Setting up in front of the net and finishing off a great play. And giving London a 2-0 lead. Coming out with it, Anderson. Weak shot wide. And the intensity starting to pick up. O'Donnell getting it out at center. In comes LaForge, turned back at the line. Anderson at center. At his pocket pick, jabs it down into the Sudbury end. Just over 2 minutes to go. Puck intercepted now. Boyd shoots. Bounces in, loose puck at the side, and Gabardi covers it up.
There's Louis DeBrusque hovering around that net. Louis DeBrusque is perhaps the toughest player in the Ontario League. He's certainly considered the best fighter. A New York Rangers third-round pick. He's also got 19 goals, so it's not as if he doesn't have any skill at all, but he's very, very tough. It's not very often he gets challenged anymore because he's fought most of the comers in the Ontario Hockey League and come out on top almost every time. Not too many people want to mess around with Louis.
Didn't score in the first 15 games of this season, and has since come on with a little bit more consistency. He has 19 goals. When you consider that he didn't score for the first 15 games of the season, 19 goals, not too bad.
And then after the first 15 games, Paul, he got a 5-game suspension. So in fact, he's had a real drought early on and then came back to score some big goals.
Taylor with a shot, and that is tipped up over the glass. 1:52 to go in the second period. And take a breather, David Gavardi. It's been a busy night. Although he has not been nearly as busy as John Tanner, his counterpart down at the other end for the London Knights, who has sparkled at times, much to the chagrin of these folks. Mark Guy keeps it in. Crombie hit from behind. Quick shot by DeBrusque on goal. That stopped. Crombie keeping it in, but DeBrusque was in offside, and he and Wade Bartley drop him. Bartley and DeBrusque. And more grappling than anything. And DeBrusque lands a couple. He's got the helmet of Bartley off. There's another one. Another one.
A couple of rabbit punches there. Bartley would do well just to hang on because Wayne Maxner says that Louis DeBrusque punches harder than any player he's had in junior hockey. That's 14 seasons. Maxner says DeBrusque is the kind of guy who can inflict damage with a punch the way John Ferguson could. He not only beats up his opponent, he really pummels them and can injure them in many cases.
This comes with 1:39 to go in the second period, and it starts on the offside call. DeBrusque bouncing into Bartley, and Bartley took exception. I wonder why.
Nice elbow to the chin. But Bartley, to his credit, comes right back and doesn't give anything in the way, doesn't give up anything in the way of toughness to the league's toughest guy. Bartley's a real interesting story. Came over a real bonus for the Sudbury Wolves. One of the top young players in Manitoba decided he didn't want to play junior hockey. He went to the University of North Dakota. Was there, he was selected as a second-round pick of the Washington Capitals. Did not like the college game, did not like North Dakota. The Western League teams that owned his rights had all dropped them off their protected lists. Sam McMaster was a scout with the Washington Capitals, ended up going in and picking up Bartley and bringing him to Sudbury.
Memorial Cup coming up. Semifinals and finals. May 5th and 6th, 12th and 13th, and I won't say from Hamilton because that issue is up in the air. More on that coming up in our first, make that our second intermission on CHL this week. Big news out of Hamilton about the Memorial Cup.
An interesting report in the London Free Press that you'll be talking about, Paul. Talk about that the Dukes, of course, not going to be in it, or they don't anticipate being in it, but the big question now is, will it be in Hamilton? And there seems to be some question as to that.
That according to a report in the London Free Press. More about that coming up during intermission number 2. A minute 25 to play in the second period. 2-0 is the score. London leading the Sudbury Wolves. I'm Paul Romanek with Bob McKenzie. CHL Sunday night from Sudbury, Ontario. John Tanner gives it away. O'Donnell back at the line, bouncing it in. Holden, who has a shorthanded goal for London, dumping it in from center. 1 minute to go in the period.
1 minute remaining in the second period.
John Batiste has to wait for a couple of his mates to get on side. Adam Bennett. John Tanner gives it away. Puck quickly fired on goal. Great chance for Bill Kovacs. He said, looky here, as the puck was passed right to him.
Very lucky for John Tanner. Normally a very good puck handler. He's got 5 or 6 assists this year. He's very fortunate he gave the puck away when the Sudbury Wolves had their checking line on the ice. Now, if that had been given away to DePietro or Darcy Cahill, it might have been a different story. But Bill Kovacs is not a player known for his offense, a real checker. He gets off a low shot that Tanner manages to block.
And Tanner hurriedly got back into position. Another in a long line of great goaltenders from the Peterborough Pete's organization.
Yeah, the Pete's had a real luxury situation. They had Todd Boysoon and John Tanner. There's no point in carrying effectively 2 #1 goaltenders as you head down the stretch. So they gave them up to the London Knights for a second-round pick, which really, if you go through the Wayne Maxford finagling to do it, turned out really to be a third-round pick because he was already missing that second to deal with another team.
Could you explain that again?
Far too complicated for me to even try and explain. It's much longer than the cake story, a piece of cake.
That was your modern-day record, I think. But not as good as the Wolf story, which is still to come. Trevor Dam across to Holden. Up at center, Taylor dumps it in. Plushko picks it up on the backhand, trying to drive in there. He had Dam trailing but couldn't get to it. DePietro can't connect with the pass. And that will do it for period number 2. The London Knights with a shorthanded goal, and down in the corner, Jason Young having a few words with...
I'm sure the Sudbury Wolves are frustrated at this point, Paul. Down 2-0. They've had so many good power play opportunities, so many excellent offensive opportunities stopped by that man, John Tanner.
And this guy hasn't been too bad either. After 2 periods of play, 2-0, the London Knights on top. CHL this week. Still to come during this intermission, so stick around. Interesting news about the Memorial Cup.